The Detroit Lions have made their first free agency signing, planning to bring on cornerback DJ Reed, formerly of the New York Jets, set to sign a 3-year agreement with the Detroit Lions. Here today to break it all down, discuss was it a good signing, what this means for the Detroit Lions roster, is Lions on SI writer Christian Boer. Christian, I'm very curious. What was your first reaction to the signing? Unfortunately, Carlton Davis is not going to be part of the Lions organization anymore. And now they bring in his replacement pretty quickly in DJ Reed.
Yeah, and I think it's a good move. When you take a look at the value that somebody like Carlton Davis got, and then the Lions go out and get DJ Reed on a 3-year, $48 million deal, it does look like kind of a steal for Detroit because DJ Reed is a very good player. He's a little bit older. He was a fifth-round pick in 2018 by the San Francisco 49ers. He's 28 years old, and he's bounced around the league a little bit. But he looks on film like every bit the type of cornerback that the Detroit Lions want for their defense. You're talking about a guy, though, he doesn't have the biggest size, right? He's listed at 5'9". Not going to blow you away with his measurables, but watch him on film, and you'll see a guy that competes hard, plays super physical, is not afraid to tackle, and can line it up and press man and make it very difficult for opposing wide receivers. Not as much ball production. He did not have an interception last season, but I think that there's a lot to like about his fit in Detroit opposite a player like Terrion Arnold or Amik Robertson. And I think more than anything, it brings veteran competition into the room because this is a group that was on paper very young. When you talk about Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw both being picks in the 2024 draft, Amik Robertson will enter his 6th year in the NFL, and he's kind of the veteran of the group. As much as the guys on roster currently, they could obviously bring back Kendall Vildor and Khalil Dorsey, both of those guys still out there, as well as free agents. So I think that when you bring in a player like Reed, you're establishing the standard that, okay, we want top tier production from our cornerback room. And when you lose a veteran guy like Carlton Davis, who was a solid fit for their defense, you got to go out and get a guy who can replace him with that kind of veteran ability. And that's what they have in DJ Reed. I'm very excited about the fit. What are your thoughts about what he might be able to do for Detroit's defense?
Yeah, you just look at what others have said as well. I peeked at a couple of the Jets games this year prior to us talking. Look, he plays really well in zone. I think that he's always around the football, a really sure tackler. I think that he's good enough against the run that the Lions coaching staff will be impressed. I thought that playing opposite of Sauce Gardner gave him a chance to excel and play, maybe not play up against the best opponents in terms of their wide receivers, but I do think that his play out there, even though he's going up against twos, I thought was pretty solid. I thought that he moves well. I thought that, yeah, at times he did get a little bit too handsy. He did have an elevated number of flags thrown against him, but that's the nature of the position. I do think his game acclimates well and should translate very well to the Lions playing man-to-man coverage. I'm excited to see what he can bring, especially playing opposite of Terrion Arnold. And it's going to be interesting too, Christian, when you look at the secondary as a whole. Some of the parts I think are pretty good. You look at Amik Robertson, Ennis Rakestraw, I think is going to elevate and look to get more playing time. And you have DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold, I think are a good 1-2 punch. Do you think DJ Reed could take over the number 1 spot if, the competition's there with Terrion Arnold? I do think that many people probably project DJ Reed maybe to be the one heading into training camp.
Yeah, and I think where it stands right now, at the very least, DJ Reed is going to give you that security blanket where if Terrion Arnold doesn't take that big step towards being a shutdown corner, then you've got a reliable and steady veteran waiting in the wings ready to take over. I think in an ideal world, Terrion Arnold is your cornerback 1 going into 2025. They drafted him in the 1st round. He has the right mindset. He has all the ability. It's just about fine-tuning that technique and finding ways to be more impactful with the balls in the air without drawing penalties. And if Terrion Arnold is able to take that step, then he's going to be your cornerback 1, and DJ Reed is going to be a very good cornerback 2. But I think right now where it stands, if Arnold doesn't make that jump, then Reed is your plug-and-play number 1. I think this sets up a fantastic competition. Let's not rule out Amik Robertson either. Amik stepped up in a big way when Carlton Davis was lost for the season to a fractured jaw. And I think that Robertson's mindset and toughness are going to always have him in a competition for the top billing, and I think he could maybe slide inside to the nickel as he did for most of last season before Davis's injury. So I think right now you got a very nice competition between those three players, as well as Ennis Rakestraw if he's able to take a step in training camp. Remember, he did have a really good training camp before injuries started to plague him throughout his rookie campaign. So right now, the Lions do have a pretty good stable of talent, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all plays out will come the offseason program and into training camp.
One last thought here. Carlton Davis was a little bit bigger body, a little bit more physical. For those that are wondering, is DJ Reed potentially, does he have a chance to be an upgrade over Carlton Davis? Because I do think that Carlton Davis brought a unique skill set that was coveted, but the number that he got, the Lions got DJ Reed for 48 million and Carlton Davis got 60 million total from the Patriots. So you get a player that many people feel might even be better than Carlton Davis for a little bit more, for a little bit less money. So it's an interesting situation, but I did like the size and physicality of Carlton Davis, but I do think that an edge that Reed has is pretty durable. Has not missed a lot of games. I think that he is somebody that the Lions can potentially trust to be out there, and especially in crunch time.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of what we like about Amik Robertson, I think you'll find is a lot about what we're going to like when it comes to DJ Reed. He's just, though he's undersized and you may look at him and go, oh, he's small, he's kind of got that dog in him where he can go out there and fight with opposing wide receivers at the line of scrimmage and really make it tough for opposing quarterbacks to find those windows to get the ball out and throw the ball to the receivers. I think that Reed's ability with the ball in the air is certainly something that can help the Lions defense. Obviously, like I mentioned, he did not have an interception, but he was around the football. And when push comes to shove in 2025, I'd be willing to bet he's gonna pick one off at some point in a huge juncture for the Lions. And I think that another element of his game that is going to really help the Lions defense is his ability to tackle. I believe Pro Football Focus had his missed tackle percentage at 12%, which is a little bit high, but I think when you really do the digging, he's a guy that can really get in there and mix it up. And I think that ability is something that can make him really stand out for the Lions defense. So I think there's overall a lot to like about this signing. I think the value only helps. It's kind of like another feather in the cap of Brad Holmes. And this is an exciting move for the Lions. They've made it very clear they want this secondary to be really solid. They could have just trotted Arnold and Robertson out there and hope for the best and, just kind of left it the way it was without Carlton Davis. But I think this move signals that the Lions aren't settling for anything less than the best at the cornerback position. And with Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch doing their work over the top at the safety position, I think the Lions secondary does have a chance to be pretty good in 2025.